Hello and welcome to my studio. I'm Jessie and this is the Knit Up and Dye podcast, episode 132, Invasion Control. I'm delighted with all the feedback that I'm getting. Thank you guys. Y'all comment that you like the more relaxed, laid back kind of format that I'm doing, and so I'm going to continue on like this. It's much easier on me. I did take some notes this time because I've had a lot of brain fog and I had ideas about what I wanted to talk about with you guys, and I want to be sure I stay on track and sound at least mostly intelligent. So there's some notes, but it's not like crazy formatted like before. I recognize, and I'm thrilled with the feedback, thank you for your honesty, that I was too regimented, that I was rushed, that I had lost my more natural conversational kind of format, and that you guys really appreciated that and missed that, and so that's what my focus is. We're going to continue down through the pile, and today I've worn a black canvas on purpose so that I can show you this piece. This is The Shift by Andrea Mowry, and it is a cowl. It is a kerchief-shaped cowl, which means it's got a long front point and a shorter back. This is knit on the bias. So you actually are starting here in this corner and you're working down and around, and then you seam up the back. It's confusing to show you. The schematics on the pattern are fabulous. It is a pay-to-play pattern. I know that it's available via Ravelry. I don't know if Andrea has her patterns available in other formats elsewhere. I just don't know. It does have an I-cord edge around the top of the neck, as well as along the body and down the kerchief, which is really nice. It just frames it beautifully. The yarns that I used are by Lolo Did It. This is Lolo Did It's Simple DK. Let me check. Come on, Smarty Box. It is her Lolo Did It Simple DK. I did it in 3 colors, which the pattern calls for 3 colors. I did it in Whisperers, Brother, and Call Me Debbie. I had ordered these online via lolodidit.com or her website, whichever it is, and really just kind of guessed about the colors online as to whether they would work together. They're very, very speckly yarns. They are in a cream that has speckles that include browns and a little bit of blues, a little bit of teals. One was a mainly teal with speckles that has some yellow in it, and one was mainly a brown with speckles that has some orange in it. I think they're gorgeous together. I think they worked out beautifully, and I am just thrilled with it. It was a fun knit. It was a nice casual knit. I knit it while I was at work back in the before days, before COVID, when we could still actually go into the office, and just sat on my lunch break and put a few rows on each day. And the compliments that I got about the colors. Lolo Did It does beautiful, beautiful speckled yarns, and they just integrated so beautifully together. So it's not hard lines, it's not high contrast. It's exactly what Andrea Mowry was going with the shift, that the colors all shift and that you get a display of different opportunities as it goes through the different changes. This is a mosaic colorwork piece. What that means is, even though it's colorwork and you're using multiple strands, you're only using one color across each row at a time. Anywhere that you want the other color to show, you're slipping those stitches. This enables you to do beautiful, intricate color work without stranding and carrying and being confused. You're simply slipping stitches. Yes, slipping stitches is a form of stranding. You do have to be careful about making sure that behind the slipped stitches, you still have enough carry that you're not pulling it tight and causing those stitches to pop forward at you. I love this. I have not worn it yet. In fact, this is the first time I've actually put it around my neck. I finished this back April 13th. The weather had already gotten quite warm, so I have not had any opportunities to actually wear it. I love it. I'm sorry, I'm staring into my monitor so that I can put this on and show you just how graceful and beautiful this can be. And it's really nice because it's longer in the front, and you can have it all tucked into your jacket so that you're all zipped up and you've got like a nice cozy neck cowl up around here. But if you unzip a little bit, you're not getting blasted in the chest by cold air. It's a dog walker, it is a commuter, it is a in the office, and why, oh why is the air conditioner still on? Just really casual and pretty. I could make 80 of these. The color combinations that you can do, even if you don't strictly regiment against her pattern of when to use A, B, or C, you could mix it up. You could do anything you wanted. You could do this with minis and just one solid color and use minis only for those color pops and have a great time with this pattern. It's very flexible in that. The only thing that I really changed up about this was the I-cord edge. So we're already doing a bunch of slip stitches, which is fine, and you do have to be a little bit looser with your gauge when you do slip stitches, just so, like I said, you don't cause everything to tighten up and crunch up, but also so that those stitches can stretch over multiple rows. With I-cord, because you're only working those stitches, you're slipping them, you're working once and you're slipping them for the return, for every 2 rows you're only working it once. So every 3rd row or so, I would slip it back and I would work it a second time just to give it a little bit extra length so that I didn't have to really block this hard to get it to lay nice. It can be a little bit short if you don't keep those stitches loose so that they can extend, and it's very easy to forget at the end of the row to keep your I-cord stitches a little bit looser gauge than the rest of what you're working so that they can constantly carry and make up for that slipping every row. If I haven't been clear about that, reach out to me, let me know, and I will try to piece that language together a little bit better for you. But basically, every 3rd row or so, I would work an extra row of the I-cord only by slipping it back and knitting it a second time, just to give it that extra length. You would never know. You would never know. There's no good way to see it. There's no identifying mark. There's no line-up differentiation where you would see that it was off. If you were using a really high contrast yarn, you might see that where it should be 1 row of a color, it looked like 2. But if anybody's that close to your knitting that they're analyzing how many rows you did on your I-cord edging, they probably have other intent. So that is one of those things, if you can't see it from my house, you can't see it. Speaking of invasion and people being too close, and this is what I was making notes about. This is what I wanted to kind of talk about, my conversational thing. A friend of mine the other day said to me before unloading their own personal nightmares, it was wonderful because she started to speak to me and then all of a sudden she stopped. And she said, and I wrote it down, "Do you have mental space for this right now?" Why, yes, for you I do. But thank you for asking. Right now we are being bombarded between elections and COVID and work fears and life, just personal stress, kids taking classes at home, all the things in our world. We have our feeds on Instagram, we have our Twitter feeds, we have our Pinterest feeds, we have our time together through podcasts, and everybody is processing in their own ways and in their own time. And many people process verbally. Many people need to interact in order to process their world. And that's great. We all process differently and we all process in our own time. But there's a lot where people's feeds are changing from, well, my feed my Instagram is loaded with dogs and pretty outdoor scenes, photography, and people who do bowl throwing, clay work, making mugs. Oh God, there's one artist, she makes mugs where she presses lace into them and then hand paints them. They're gorgeous. And knitting, yarn, knitting, yarn, crochet. And that's my happy place. When I need to detox, when I need to de-stress, I sit down and I scroll through Instagram and I look at all the eye candy and color and light and pretty pictures and stories about kids and dogs. It fills me with joy and makes me happy. There's, of course, the advertisements. If I could pay for the advertisements to go away, Instagram, if you can hear me, Facebook, if you could hear me, I really, honestly, at this point, would be willing to pay to make advertisements go away. But between the ads and between people venting online, I'm being invaded. And feeds that normally were full of beauty are now full of stress or stress-inducing stuff. And that's really hard. That's really hard in my private time where I'm going to a place of solace to suddenly have this bombardment without permission. They didn't take the time to ask me, do you have mental space for this right now? And they wouldn't. They can't. That's not what that feed is. That feed is a feed. It's push media. It's sent to you. And the only way for you to control that permission is to like, to follow, to subscribe, and to mute. There's this whole culture right now that's really scary, where instead of listening to all sides and taking in the mean of a person, of a culture, of a place, of an idea, and getting the mean, the average of all the spectrum, and determining. We hear one offensive thing and we cancel. And we tell everybody else, cancel. And it's an aggressive, divisive response. When really what we need to do is set boundaries. And instead of canceling something that you used to love, that you found one little thing that just irritated you about, and it may be a big irritant, it may be something that wholly is against your alignment, but they still have pretty pottery mugs, or they still have pretty yarn, and that was soothing and pleasant to you. How about you just press mute? How about you just build a boundary for a little while until you're ready to go back, and maybe they've calmed down about that? How about you give yourself time to process in your own space and your own way, and then go back and see if maybe the average wasn't okay after all. But we don't have to be so aggressive. We do need boundaries. Absolutely, we need boundaries, and we need to protect ourselves. I'm a perfect example of that, where I took time off because I needed to hit pause. I needed to hit mute. I didn't cancel. I was tempted. I was tempted. But my love of what I was doing, the mean of it, was always there, that I wanted to continue this. I just needed invasion control. I needed to control the negative that was coming in. I needed to control my own output. I needed to control what I was seeing, what I was hearing, what I was dealing with, and I needed to process in my own time. And so I hit mute. I think we all need to take that time into consideration and hit mute a little bit and say, okay, I like you, most of you, mostly, but not right now. I need a boundary. And you don't have the opportunity to ask me if I've got space for this right now. So I'm going to tell you I don't have space for you right now. Cancer culture is scary, because you miss out on the good. Yeah, you miss out on the bad, but you miss out on the good too. And there is a lot of good out there. There's a lot of bad out there. But I defy you to find any one person, alive or dead, that you experienced firsthand that did not at some point do something offensive or wrong or disagreeable, and not yet still be a good person, not still be a good influence, or be an influence only because they were bad. If you erase them completely, you don't get the lessons from the good or the bad. And sometimes the bad lessons are just as important as the good. This is what's on my mind. This is what I'm thinking about right now, because I just am being told by too many sources. This, not that. It's like being on a diet. Eat carrots, don't eat carrots. Eat bacon, don't eat bacon. Eat eggs, don't eat eggs. And there's just so much mixed information that you can't even begin to process and make choices or put up lines. And so you have to just hit pause, hit mute. Social media is brilliant because you can mute people for a short period of time. You can mute them indefinitely. You can block them. You can cancel them altogether. But like I said, just hit mute and build your walls. Give yourself some space. I'm finding with Instagram right now, which is, like I said, my solace, my happy place, that I'm having to particularly go through and hit mute because I get addicted where I want to research this and, oh, is that real? Oh my God. And I start to chase rabbits and it eats my time and a piece of my soul and a chunk of my mental space that I could be applying to much more fun and creative things. I could be knitting, I could be dyeing yarn, I could be spending time with my husband and my dogs instead of glued to a screen, panicked and researching and clicking links over these rabbits and squirrels that are telling me, do this, not that. That's what I'm about. That's what I'm feeling right now. This is lovely, cozy, warm. It is chilly in my studio right now. We have an Arctic blast that is coming through. I have had so many alerts. You know, even the weather right now is up in my grill. Everything. This push media right now is so aggressive. I'm even considering turning off the alerts on the weather because, yeah, we might get 6 inches of snow, which, can you even believe? I'm sitting in New Mexico. The idea of me getting 6 inches of snow in the greater Albuquerque metro area is hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. But I've received not fewer than 6 alerts this morning. It's gonna be awful. You know what? I'm at home. We're all at home. Unless you're legitimately traveling for work or business, you should be at home. And I don't know that I need to be panicked about the weather. What a wild world this is right now, that everything is sensationalized. Everything is turned up. Everything is on scream. And I think that that's the push of social media and reality TV, that everything has become a toddler. Everything is behaving like a toddler, where if you're not screaming, you don't think you're going to get attention. And I'm hoping that maybe some of us that are whispering and saying, let's go for some quiet time. Let's sit down, let's have a cup of tea, let's enjoy a pattern, let's enjoy some yarn, let's make something cozy for ourselves. Let's knit a gift this year. Maybe it's been a couple years since I've been able to knit a gift. I can't go shopping in a retail store. Don't really want to right now. So why don't I sit down and make some hats? Or whip up a cowl? Or knit something for somebody that I've never made a gift for, I've never knit a gift for, I've never bought a gift for. Surprise a coworker that does things for you all the time that you likely forget to thank often enough. We have this ability to control the invasion and enjoy a period where we have a designed solace. That's it. The pile is going to continue. We're going to keep cracking down through it. I have kind of an order in mind. Today it was this because I love it. It's squishy, it's wonderful. Again, The Shift by Andrea Mowry. She has several other patterns that are plays on this same stitch and design and concept of changing the colors around. I think she has, there's a shawl, I know of that. I'm pretty sure she has a sweater at this point in this. But the cowl is a great jumping off point. It is a sizable piece like I showed you, but not so sizable that it's like this unattainable huge goal if you're an early knitter or if you don't have a lot of time to dedicate to it. And I know a woman who dyes yarn that is having random sales on her website that offers a number of DK weights that you might want to check out. Dye Monkey Yarns, she's small, but she's out there, and she takes custom orders as well. So give her a look-see. If you like this, if you're enjoying this new format, let me know. Subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell so that you get the alerts when this comes up. I am still going to post to Instagram that I've done this. And of course, over on Patreon, links on my main page at Dye Monkey Yarns Patreon blog. That's where I'm doing all of my blogging right now. So check that out. Most of it is public consumption. You don't have to sign up for anything to go and see it. You don't have to pay to go and see it. But certainly there are some bonuses. If you are one of my patrons at any level, you get credits towards yarn of your choice, coupons, extra sale notifications, and some exclusive content that I'm working on. And I hope to make this a really valuable, pleasant, solace-seeking place for you. That's everything I've got. Thank you for spending time with me. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your support. And I'll see you next time. Bye.